Hello and welcome to the Amber Army YouTube channel. I'm Taff and this is a Taff's Word on Football special. So, as most of you know, I'm predominantly a Newport County supporter, but I like to delve into the bigger regions of football outside of my beloved hometown club, of course. So, during a recent visit to London, obviously for the League Two playoff final, which we unfortunately lost, I was there with the missus, thought make it a bit of a long weekend. So we got a hotel for 4 nights in London. We actually stayed in South Ruislip and we really enjoyed our stay, fair play. Obviously the game that we went to was on the Saturday. So on the Sunday we decided to take a little tour of London and its football stadiums. So we went to what are most obviously the four biggest clubs in London. We first went to Arsenal, then we went to Tottenham, then we went to Chelsea, and then we went to West Ham. So I thought I would better do a little video for you and I'll score each different stadium on 4 different bits of criteria, which is personal to me. And then there will be a ranking, a first, second, third and fourth, based on all that criteria and the average scoring that I give them. So first up is Arsenal in the Emirates Stadium. So, well, first of all, actually, before I go on to Arsenal, I'm going to basically tell you what my criteria is. First of all, the structure of the stadium. I think that's an important thing. If it looks nice from the outside, of course, and if it's an impressive build. The football feel that you get, I think that's an important thing. When you're walking around a football stadium, you like to feel the football oozing from that ground. So I'll mark that 8 of 10 as well. All of it's 8 of 10. The club history, it's important that the history of the club is depicted around the stadium in some way, so you can feel the history around you. That's also a very important thing for me. And then also, with it being a London stadium, we know unless there's really good parking and that, the best way obviously to get to these stadiums is via the London transport system. So I'm basing it on the reachability, so that'll also be out of 10. So first of all, we'll try that one again. Arsenal, the Emirates Stadium was the first one that we went to. So I thought it was a very impressive looking ground. When you approached it, you looked and you were quite taken back, quite in awe of what was there in front of you. It was a very nice stadium. It felt very Arsenal-y the moment you walked towards it, with club shops everywhere. Different feels around the ground. So things I find quite important, which plays into the football feel, is what's around the ground with regards to things like pubs, clubs, and is it something that is how can I put it? Is it something that really makes you know that you're in an Arsenal territory or any other territory? So yeah, I thought that there were some really good statues. Thierry Henry was my favourite, obviously. For me, pound for pound, the best player to ever play in the Premier League. The history of the club is everywhere, and it was right by Holborn tube station. So I actually scored Arsenal really high with an average of 9, but this is the breakdown for it. So first of all, structure, gave that an 8 out of 10. A very modern design, but a little bit dated when you look at some of the newer looking stadiums. You couldn't give it a 10 or a 9 because you're talking about your Bayern Munich stadium would be a 10. So I give Arsenal an 8. The football feel was an 8. Even though it was oozing Arsenal and oozing Arsenal Football Club history, I still didn't get the real football feel. You couldn't really look into any of the turnstiles to see into the ground or anything like that. I think that gives it a nice football feel. Because it's a dome, more than a 4-stand stadium, for me that's an important attribute to a football feel of a stadium. So again, I gave football feel an 8. Club history, as I said, oozing in Arsenal, oozing in club history, oozing in links to the club around the ground. So that is a full marks 10 out of 10. And then reachable, as I said, Holborn Stadium is less than 5 minutes away, walking distance, so I has to get a 10 out of 10. So that was Arsenal. Now on to their bitter rivals, Tottenham Hotspur, or Spurs for short. We Took some time to work out how we were going to get there. Now, there was a toss-up between Tottenham Hale Tube Station and Seven Sisters, although there was a London Overground Tottenham station, but I felt because we've been using the underground, as soon as you switch over to the overground, that's going to start giving you some jip with regards to how much you're paying on your Oyster card. So we decided to stick to the underground. Then we had the choice between either a 35-minute walk from Seven Sisters or a 35-minute walk from Tottenham Hale. The difference with Tottenham Hale is there was a KFC nearby, so on the way back we had somewhere we could stop off for some lunch. So that's why we chose Tottenham Hale, but it was a 35-minute walk. Not the nicest of areas to walk through, not knocking the cultural difference of the area, of course. There was a very big one. We got through there in one piece, so I was happy enough of that, but the feet were hurting by the time we got to the ground and got back to have our KFC. The structure of the stadium was out of this world. It looked absolutely magic, to be honest with you. I was really, really impressed with that. The football field wasn't much to rave about, though, because there wasn't an awful lot football-y around there, except on the final straight to the stadium, you had a lot of Tottenham banners coming from lampposts and things like that. So, you did get a bit of a football field because of that. But the steps to walk up to the turnstiles and things like that were all gated off to stop you from going up there. So that was a big markdown for me personally. Club history, you could tell it was a Tottenham ground, but because it was new, there wasn't much attributed to the stadium with regards to the history of the club. Although on the walk up, you could basically see the site of where White Hart Lane used to be. That marked it up a bit, but then it didn't get a good mark for club history. And then reachable, 35-minute walk. Sore feet, so we're walking for over an hour to get to the stadium and get back to the station and get something to eat. So I scored it very low. So Tottenham's stadium got a 6.5 on average. This is how it was broken down. So the structure, I gave it a 10 out of 10. Breathtaking sight, beautiful stadium, very, very modern. Probably better than Bayern Munich's Allianz Arena in my opinion. Absolutely stunning. Football field. If it wasn't for the banners on the way down to the ground, it would have got lower, but for football feel, I guess a 6 out of 10. Club history, again, is a 6 out of 10 for that one. If not for White Hart Lane memorabilia on the walk up, it would have got a lot lower. Reachable, I give it a 4 out of 10. Like I say, it wasn't very reachable. It was a long, long walk. It would have mean jumping on a bus would have cost you extra on your Oyster card, so big markdown on that one. So that there was Spurs. If the thing is, what I like to think is that the other three, the football field, the club history, and the reachable, can be worked on. Maybe there's some extra transport links. Maybe they could get another station nearby. That's something that could potentially be worked on, but definitely the club history and football field can be worked on a lot more. So there is room for improvement on Tottenham's ground. So the next ground we went to was Chelsea. This was following a quick stop back at our hotel room in Ruislip because we wanted to change our socks because our feet were killing because of the walk to the Tottenham ground. So we then went to Chelsea, right by a station, again like Arsenal. Can't remember the name of the station again, sorry, but the structure itself, you could tell it was older. So I marked it down in comparison to the others, but it didn't get an awfully low mark or anything like that. So the structure itself, it looked impressive, but there were some tattier parts, shall we say, in comparison to the others. Not saying it's a tatty stadium in any way, shape or form, but it definitely made up for it in the football feel, because I give it a very high mark on the football field because you could see into the ground. It was a 4-stand stadium, which was really nice. You really felt football from the stadium. So I really enjoyed walking around, especially with the club history part as well. It was really, really good on the club history. Pictures of old players everywhere, giving you a good understanding of what they did for the club, a lot like Arsenal. Not quite as much as Arsenal, but still a lot. And then the reachable, like I say, it was a couple of minutes walk from a station. I think it was a Fulham. I think it was a Fulham station. I'm not quite certain of what it was called again. But I give it very high marks for that one. So I gave Chelsea's a 9 out of 10 on average. So this is how it broke down. So the structure I gave a 7 out of 10. Like I said, not as impressive as Arsenal, so I couldn't score it 8 or more. but then nowhere near Spurs, of course. The football feel, really felt the football, gave that a 10, 8 of 10. Club history, very good, not quite as good as Arsenal, so I gave it a 9, 8 of 10. And the reachable, obviously it was just as close as Arsenal, so it also got a 10, 8 of 10. Right then, moving on to the final stadium, which was the inherited Olympic Stadium, which is known as the Queen Elizabeth II Stadium, in the middle of the Queen Elizabeth II Olympic Village. I believe it was Stratford Station that you got to there. That was relatively close. It's still about a 10-minute walk. Not as close as Arsenal or Chelsea to a station, but a lot closer than Spurs. What I liked is that there was a lot of good places to go around it, although there wasn't an awful lot linking you to West Ham Club, the football club. The only thing really that linked the stadium to the club was the banners that the club had put up and the fact it said West Ham United on the top. And the football feel, again, you're in an Olympic stadium with an Olympic swimming pool next to it. Didn't get much of a feel for the fact it was a football stadium, but the structure, very impressive. Really impressed and taken back by the way that it was built. It looks beautiful from the outside. Not quite as good as Tottenham, but still very nice. So this is how I marked it. So structure, I gave it a 9 out of 10. Like I said, not quite as good as Tottenham, but a bit more modern than Arsenal, so right bang in the middle of them too, 9 out of 10. Football feel, like I said, you didn't really get the feel for the football. If not for the banners around that West Ham had put up, it would have marked very low, so I gave it a 6. Football feel gets a 6 out of 10. Club history, like I say, if not for the banners, it would have scored a lot less. It was a lot more football, more of a football thing than a West Ham thing though, so I scored that a 5 out of 10. And then the reachable, like I say, it was a lot more reachable than Spurs, not quite as reachable as Arsenal and Chelsea, a little bit more of a walk than you would have preferred, but still nothing like Spurs, so I gave that one an 8 out of 10. The walk wouldn't have been so bad if we hadn't already done 3 stadiums beforehand and had to do that killer Tottenham walk. So West Ham on average got a 7 out of 10. So that basically puts it into a position where Chelsea are first, Arsenal are second, West Ham third, and Spurs are fourth. But the reason why Chelsea are first and Arsenal second, because it was a neck and neck with a 9 out of 10, both of them 9 on the dot on their averages. I had to rank the importance of each piece of criteria. So the first one for me was football feel. It's a football stadium, so it's got to get that football feel. Club history, it's their stadium. It's got to ring out club history, definitely. The structure, it's got to look nice, and then reachability. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're going to one football match, if you've got to walk for some amount of distance, then it's not the most important thing in the world. So I put that at 4 in place number 4. So for me, Chelsea won it because they scored 2 points higher than Arsenal on the football field and only scored a point less on the club history. Obviously, the structure, Arsenal edged, but then it was only third in the importance list. And then they're both just as reachable as each other. So Chelsea edged it with the 9. So there you go. 4 stadiums, all done in one day. Bloody much longer day than I thought it was going to be. I wanted to do more. Unfortunately, I couldn't. But there we go. There's my critique of them 4 grounds. I hope those of you who are fans of those clubs find this a fair reflection of their grounds. And those who haven't been before, I hope it gives you a good idea of what you could be in for when you do eventually go. So yeah, thanks very much for watching, guys. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, go ahead and do that. Big red button does us an awful lot of good. More videos like this then if we got more subscribers. No point doing the videos if you ain't here to watch them. And then at the same time, give us a like, maybe a cheeky comment. Tell me where you think I'm wrong. Tell me where you think I'm right. You know, let's have a chat about this. I'd be happy to engage with all of you on what your views are on these 4 grounds. But all in all of them fantastic football grounds. London is a fantastic footballing city, and I thoroughly enjoyed my weekend there. So thanks all for watching. Till the next time, cheerio for now, and as always, up the county. Many thanks for watching the latest content on the Amber Army channel. Please make sure you leave us a like. Make sure you subscribe for more content, both for the neutral football fan and also plenty of Newport County. Even more Newport County content can be found on the club's iFollow channel on the link above. It is just £4.49 per month to subscribe to that service. And those of you feeling extra generous can also support us on Patreon on the link at the bottom there. That would be a monthly donation of your choice. Thank you again, make sure you've subscribed, and as always, up the county.